Well, hello everybody. Welcome back, or welcome. Today I think I'm going to do a multicolor palm tree. So I'm feeling kind of tropical. Summer's almost here. Right. So I have pretty much the rainbow array of colors. So I've got red. I've got more of it's like a raw sienna or a king's gold. I've got a phthalo green, a phthalo blue, or a verde. Um, let's see, and I also have a purple too. So I'm going to start off with a big brush, and I want to paint the sky in the background with the water. So I'm going to start off with a scoop of white and a little dab of blue, and I'm just going to get the color into my sky. I'm just going to do a nice little curlicue, swirly background sky. This is going to fade to the background. You won't see most of it. And as I get a little bit closer to the bottom, I do want to add a little bit of a lighter sky. So I'm going to touch into a little bit more white. And if you are using a stretcher bar canvas like I am, just go ahead and add a little bit of paint to the side. This is called gallery wrap. Just makes it look nice when you hang it on the wall. And we'll go ahead and get the top. And we'll do the other side as well. All right, now that I've got my sky pretty much on there, we're gonna go ahead and start our water. I think I do want a little bit of a island landmass here. So just gonna leave that little lump there because I think I'll have it raise up. All right, I'm not going to clean the brush. I'm going to go right into the water, and I'm going to take a little bit of white, a little touch of green, and a little touch of blue to get this ocean color. And I'm just making nice horizontal brush strokes back and forth. A little bit darker on the top. A little bit more white, a little bit more green. Got a little clump of paint. It was a dry clump, so it was scratching the canvas. All right. So there is a quasi solid color going on here, which is fine. It does have the streaks in it, and that's good. But we'll add more streaks once I get the sides painted. All right, and the sides are now painted. So I'm going to streak in some little bit more white. And a little bit more. So I've got my water, I've got my sky, and I now want to create my landmass. So I do also want a little beach for this, but I think what would probably be best at this time if we just let this dry, because the blue and the sand color might not work so great. So just give it a little, just let it dry. Okay, we have let this dry, and now we want to build up where our sandbank is and our island. So I need a little bit more white for this. And I'm going to just touch into, I think I'm going to use a smaller brush. So a little bit of white and a little bit of this yellow color to get this sand color. And I'm just going to start to apply this over some of where the water is. And I might need another coat of the background showing through. Maybe we'll just make it a little thicker. And if you're doing your gallery wrap, you can wrap it around the sides. All right, so now I've got my sand color on there. I'll add another swipe of color later when it dries. And now I want to go ahead and start building up a little bit of the actual bank of where the island pretty much is. So I'm going to add a scoop of yellow and a scoop of green. Get kind of a green, mossy sort of color. I'm just going to start to build up a little bit of where the island is going to be. And I'm just dabbing my brush. We got a little bit of green in there we didn't want. All right, I have a pretty solid base on the top. I'm going to go into just the dark green and start to work the bottom up. This has a little bit more of a shadow or a gradient. And now I want to start to add a little bit of a lighter yellow on top. I took a scoop of that yellow color and a little dab. We'll just add a little bit of a lighter color, even more of the yellow. And just a little here and there. Doesn't have to be completely everywhere. All right, I'm cleaning out my brush a little bit more. And I want to go back into the sand color and just add a little bit more of the sand color. I want to add maybe just a little bit of an orange color, so I'm going to take a scoop of that yellow and a little dab of red, maybe 2 scoops of the yellow. I'm just going to add a little bit here and a little bit there. I'm going to go back into just a little bit of that lighter yellow that we first used for the beach and just kind of overlap and tone down some of that orange. Soften it up a little. I want to create a little tiny bit of a shadow for where the beach and the shore are. So I'm going to just take a little touch of purple, maybe just a little bit of water. All right, I've got a little tiny bit of shadow. I'm just going to soften it right along the shoreline. Go ahead and add a little bit of a teal color or a minty color in the water. I'm just going to add some little streaks of this. Maybe a little touch of some darker. Got my brush a little bit wet, so this will soften into it. It won't be so bright or saturated in color. All right, so we pretty much have our base of where our background is going to be. We could create some little palm trees, but I think we'll do that in the end after the main palm trees here. So we're going to have a shoot come out here, and it's just going to plume in this blue sky. And I'm going to let this set in for a little bit so I don't have any of the colors smear when I apply my coats to start the palm tree. So let it dry. Okay, so I've let it dry a little bit more, and now we want to build up where our palm tree is going to go. So I'm going to start off with a lighter yellow sandy color just to kind of get the base for it. And I'm just going to extend this up and out. I am doing a gallery wrap, so I'm going to extend this on the outside of, or on the edge of the canvas. All right, so I have a pretty good base right here. Go ahead and rinse my brush. Oh, let's smear out some of this clumpy paint. All right, I'm going to dip into the purple and start to kind of build up a little bit of a shadow area on the right side. I think we'll just let that dry and then we'll add another layer later. All right, I'm going to dip back into the darker yellow and go down the left side. And then go back into that orangey color. If you need to make more, little scoop of the yellow, a little dab of the red, maybe 2 scoops of the yellow. I accidentally got a little white in there. I'm okay with that. We're just going to add a couple little brush strokes of this, kind of in the in-between. Go ahead and make a bit of a brown color. So I'm going to add just a touch of blue to this mixture that I created. And a little bit more yellow, and a little touch of green and red. Okay, a little more red, a little more yellow. Now a touch of green. This wants to make a purple. Well, okay. So from this purple, I'm going to create a little bit of a shadowy one. And maybe up here too. I'm going to start to incorporate a little touch of red into the tree, in between the dark and the light. And just add a little bit of this. I'm going to add a scoop of purple to this mixture. Maybe 2 scoops of purple to this mixture. And a little touch of blue. Like a muddy gray. I think it's the color of yellow that just does not want to frickin' do it. So I'm actually going to just get some brown. I've got a nice warm kind of burnt sienna here. As you can see, it's way warmer. And I'm going to use this to kind of blend the two together. then I might just want to let this dry a little bit more. I'm going to incorporate a couple of little brown brush strokes into some of that palm frond. And I did not want that to be there. And since the background's dry, I'm just going to tear off a little piece of paper towel, get it wet, and that should just lift right off. I think I'm going to start to incorporate a little bit of green. I'll go ahead and just mix a little of that green into that one mixture. Just starting to flick my brush out. Maybe overlap some of the purple. A little bit of green here. Now for my flicks, I'm always starting in the middle and flicking out. This is what's going to give you that pointiness at the very end of your palm frond. I'm going to go back into the brown and add a little bit more to my top of the trunk before it goes into the leaves or palm fronds. We'll add a little bit more to the base. Go to the purple. Add a little bit more purple to the right side. I feel like I need a little bit of a brighter yellow, so I'm going to incorporate a chrome yellow, which is way, way brighter. And this will give a little brightness to some of the cold colors that are in here. I'm going to add a little bit of white with this. And just go down the left side of the trunk. Maybe incorporate a little in that area. Add a little to the top of our fronds. And go back into some of the just darker green and maybe overlap. I'm also going to add this brighter yellow to the top. A little too much. Going for a lime color. Go back into the bushes. And then I touched into just the green. I didn't clean my brush, I just kind of wiped off the brush a little just to kind of brighten up that top portion. And that yellow really just gives it a nicer vibrancy. Okay, I overlapped, which is not what I wanted to do. That's okay. I can always paint over paint. And we can always kind of pick it up with a watered down brush and just take it off that way too. All right, I'm going to go back into that limey color. I'm going to make a little bit more of that limey color. And just add a little bit more lime into my palm fronds. Such a pretty color, it's so vibrant. And I want to incorporate a little bit of red into this. I'm going to add a little bit more just red to the middle of my tree, just the in between the shadows. A little more vibrancy. We'll add just a couple little brush strokes of red. Here and there. And I'll just overlap with maybe a little bit of purple in some of them. And I'm going to go back into some light yellow and just create more little highlights. I'm going to mix a little bit of purple with a little touch of brown. I'm just going to use this going down the right side. And let's go ahead and there is a little tiny bit of purple where I don't want it to be. And I'm just going to make a very light blue. I could cover that up. All right. I'm going to take a smaller brush and just let some of the yellow touch into the side. And if it mixes with a little bit of the red, it'll give a slight orange, and that's totally okay. A little bit brighter. I'm going to go back to a little of that sandy color. Tone it down a little in spots. All right, and we're just gonna let this dry. Okay, so I've let it dry a little bit more just because I wanted to add some more light yellow highlights that I really wanted to stick. So I'm just mixing together a little bit of white, a little bit of that brighter yellow, and I just really want to go a little heavier on the left side for this. Let's add a couple of palm trees to the little island area. I'll just create a couple little lines going up. Got a little bit more of the brown, a little bit more paint on my canvas. All right, I'm just going to go into the green and just kind of create some little brush strokes here. I'm going to clean up my brush a little, go back into the brown, and just add a little bit more brown to this. And we'll just keep those pretty simple and basic. So you can add other elements to it. If you want to add a little sailboat, you can. Clouds in the sky. It's really up to you. I think I'm going to add a little bit of that lighter yellow. And we'll just give a little bit of highlight to some of these. Mostly just on the top where the sun would be hitting them. All right, you guys, and there's the final product. And pretty fun, easy, somewhat quick, kind of not the most beginner. But anyway, a nice tropical painting to hang on your wall. All right, you guys, thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Share it with some friends, but pretty fun painting. Not the most simplest, maybe a little bit more advanced, but fun nonetheless. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next one.